Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis, updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all of these topics and sectors looking for potential investment opportunities. Today I am releasing later tonight the midweek update where I share my opinions on individual companies, the sectors, what my plans are, and the companies that I'm looking at to accumulate for this commodity bull market that we are in. So if you're interested in that, check out the website, finding-value.com, and use that discount coupon code. Discount is the coupon code. All right, so let's dive in here, take a look. We've got the DXY. Continuing strength is what I see in the DXY. Today we've got a bullish engulfing showing potential further strength of this flag pattern that we've got. We are also above support, which is the blue support line. That line is going across here. We're starting to break out, and I see further strength ahead of the dollar. Relative strength. Keep that in mind. The yields, yields are just slightly ever lower today, and the momentum is up. So momentum's higher. We had a little bit of a sideways day today across the board. The 2-year, the 10-year, same thing. And we're sitting right on top of resistance, this resistance trend line. That's why we were trading sideways, I think. And we'll see if we can break through here and head on higher. And I think that will also add strength to the dollar, unfortunately. The 30-year is doing the same thing as the 10-year. We had just a slightly down day right underneath resistance here. Now, all of these charts on the long term, like these monthly candlesticks, higher, 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 higher. Same with the 10-year. Higher, 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 and more higher. Now, what trades with interest rates going on up? Oil does. And for some reason, oil has disconnected from these long-term interest rates. So we'll see which one does the catch-up move. Do we do a catch-up move lower, which I hate to say it, this chart looks completely and utterly bullish to break higher, which makes me think that oil is going to go on up. Looking at TYX-TNX ratio, we are continuing. Pull on back here and compress this thing. We are staying inverted at this time, the 30-year versus the 10-year. We've dropped and we've stayed inverted. When this uninverts, it's good for precious metals generally. Or we stay inverted and precious metals have been taken off too. If we stay inverted, this may also indicate that oil can take off. We've got bond prices slightly, ever so slightly higher today, but the momentum is to the downside. Higher interest rates, lower bond prices. The 2 and 10, just sideways movement, but this curve's been uninverting. It's been doing it with interest rates going up. It's a very different market condition than all of these that we've uninverted. These were people running into bonds every time. Here, they're running away from bonds as this comes and uninverts, with the long end going up faster, the 10-year going up faster than the 2-year. So could this be some sort of stagflationary slowdown? Could be. Very well could be. But I will say this. We didn't see this in the 70s either. This is a whole different ballgame because we had interest rates drop during those recessions in the 1970s. This here, I don't know what this is. It's a different dynamic. Gold, we are down $10 an ounce, but we are above this support line. So we broke out and we're doing that retest. We've got silver also looking decent. We've got a small compressed opening and closing price with a little wick at the bottom. So it looks like we are trying to slow the selling pressure down from beforehand. And we're still sitting on top of a lot of support. Platinum's up $1. Not a huge move today, nothing to write home about, but we are trying to break through this resistance line right where we're at. Maybe this is the beginning of this break, which then leads to the break up here, which then leads to the motherland. The motherland up at $4,000.com, baby. Palladium down 1.25%. I do think we could tap this down here, this support level at about 916. We could go a little bit lower. It is possible. A lot of the times it does like to go this low, and sometimes it even goes below it. It freaks people out. And we'll see what it does. GDX down a little bit. Still looks bearish in my mind. There's no reversal candlestick, and this can be a halfway pattern. So we see there GDXJ is up against support. There's a line going across there right on support, but that could be a halfway pattern to somewhere down there. And then SILJ down slightly. Again, it's very similar. We came in and maybe we come back to this region down there. Could be a halfway pattern. I'm not playing any of these short-term moves. I'm long in this stuff, just riding it and enjoying the ride. XAU to gold ratio, we are pulling back even further to this bottom down here in this corner. Again, this is gold and silver mining companies divided by gold ratio. We've broken the downtrend line here, and we're still doing this big kind of return retest move going on where gold and silver mining companies are pulling back against the physical metals themselves. And maybe this has something to do with interest rates, dollar strength, some of that stuff. Could be. And maybe it has something to do also with butt coin, fart coin, and up the butt coin and all that crap. So crude oil down 1.36%. I still think this looks good. We've got the broken downtrend line here. We've got a little retest that happened here and another retest potentially that's going on right now. And we're sitting on top of support. We still have a lot of resistance in this region that we'd like to break through. We haven't done that yet. And then the big line that we want to break is we want to get above basically above this breakout there, this downtrend line. $75, $76 closing would do that. But we're not there yet. Even if we break lower, I think it will be a short-term move and a slingshot to the upside if we do get a breakdown, in my opinion. TTF gas up 4.3%, looking pretty strong there. Nice strong move there. It's still in a longer-term uptrend. If we were to grab a line here, throw this under here, it's still in a longer-term uptrend line. So it's still hanging on. Nat gas in America up 5%. Pretty big move. Surprising with the weather, the weather forecast coming up, but looking strong there. We've broken out of the downtrend, this downtrend here, and it looks good to go higher. It really does. It looks good. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me. We had some strong selling pressure in the beginning of the day. And then throughout the day, we had strong buying pressure. So it gapped down in the morning here, turned, and up, and we'll see if that momentum can continue higher, and that this was just to freak everybody out. And yes, I do like that area down there. So XOP, kind of an interesting setup here. We broke out, and then the retest could have brought us back a little bit too far. And some people are going to say, oh, it's going to go lower. I don't know, guys. I mean, this very well could break out of here still. Interest rates, if interest rates were dropping like a rock, that song. If they were dropping like a rock, then I'd say, yeah, we have a good chance that we're heading lower. They're not, though. And they look like they're trying to break to the upside. I don't see a world where XOP does this. I mean, it's possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible. But I find it highly unlikely, given history, that XOP goes lower and interest rates go up. To me, it's like someone's in here trying to fight for shares and steal your shares away from you. OIH down 1.42% today. but it also has that big wick at the bottom. There was some accumulation that was going on today. The gap's been filled. So we'll see. There's your gap there. And we'll see if we can start working our way on up here. It may not. We'll see. Newcastle Coal Futures up 1.24%, looking a little bit better, but still looks kind of ugly from this breakout there. We do have a potential shoulder, head, shoulder going on, and that does correlate with the low here at 130s here, which is basically where we're trading. Maybe it's an inverted head and shoulders here, potentially. We've got Sprott Physical Uranium Trust holding steady, and we are inside of this big flag pattern. All I'm going to say, guys, is too many people put too much emotion and thought on the short term. Don't do that. Just play the big long-term, big picture view. We're going higher, guys, over the bigger, longer-term view. Uranium futures pricing down a little bit, but we're still within this big falling wedge. We've got URA down 0.7%, and I know some people are getting afraid of this. Here's the thing, guys. If you want to know a trick, here's a trick. When everyone is scared, those are generally your best opportunities to buy. Now, some people will say, well, people can get more scared. They can get more scared till they sell their shares and then they can't sell anymore. But generally, when you look at these areas and people are scared or they're selling things, those are generally the best times to accumulate. URNM also selling off a little bit still. We may even come back in this region down here. Probably a good spot to be looking. And then URNJ, if we get lower down here, I'm going to add some more in. Why? Because I can. So hopefully we get a little bit lower. I don't know. We'll see. We got a little wick at the bottom. It might try to work its way on up, and we'll see what that looks like. Copper down a little bit, coming back to support almost, a little bit above support. And obviously COPX selling off too with that. And there's and this is probably close to the projected move. Because this downside's roughly the same as this downside. So we'll probably come in this circle right where we're at. Maybe we have some zigzags before going higher, but we're getting close. Iron ore down slightly, but still looks good. It's holding on, not much selling pressure. Aluminum down 1%, coming off that resistance area. And we are still within the pattern. Could still see some downside here in the short term. Nickel down 1.7, getting a little bit more selling pressure here. We could see a little bit more selling coming on, and we'll see if there's any follow through there. MOO, which is the agribusiness ETF, getting some selling pressure down 0.6. We'll see what it looks like here. Yeah, we're still in the support region. So if we back up, there's a lot of support with these shares traded through here. So that's generally where we're going to get our support, is right where we're at. We'll see if we hold. But we've broken this to the upside for a reason, and it just seems like we've gotten a lot of selling pressure across commodities the past couple months, 2 months in particular, past few weeks even. So we'll see if we can turn this thing around here. Emerging markets. Again, we had a dollar and yields that have been relatively strong recently, and there's some selling pressure. We've got a dividend too. That dividend, when they pay these dividends, you'll see these gaps. So if you see like this one here, you see that it gap down there. When they pay the dividends, they gap down on all of them. You can see there's a gap there too. So this gap, the big gap is the dividend. KRE down 2.35%. I bet you we're going to fill this gap here, guys. So I'll leave that there. We'll probably fill that. It'll probably work its way down lower. TAN up 1.4, but this thing still has downside momentum. We'll see if it can turn it. And it looks like it's trying to. Nice little bullish engulfings there. Bullish piercing perhaps, and we'll see if we can get a little double bottom there. We've got lithium down slightly. It's holding on. We can kind of throw in a little pattern here, perhaps. And we'll see if it stays within this little pattern that we created. It is still above the downtrend line. We've got REMX down a little bit still, and it's been coming back. And we could still come all the way down to $39 down here if it wants to. That's where I'm kind of I'm linking it up with this here. So that's about $40, $41. Baltic Dry Index finally turning up 1.9%, but still in the downtrend move there. Downward momentum still. We've got XHB, which is the home builders. I can move this line like this too, and we can play with it a little bit. You could say that we could be breaking down to the downside there, perhaps. This one goes all the way back, perhaps there. And we are breaking to the downside there. So that does look a little bit weak. And I do think that this is trading similarly with the S&P and the NASDAQ. But bearish engulfing here, bearish engulfing here. Then we got kicked out of this pattern there. So it does have downside momentum here. And with interest rates going up, it's definitely not helping home builders. Russell 2000 down today, 1.18. Still has downside momentum. But we're above a gaggle of support all over the place. The S&P 500 selling off 0.4%. You know, this, I'm surprised this is still up there. I think it's going to go lower. If rates continue higher, this will go lower, is my guess. If rates continue on up. The NASDAQ is in the same situation. Rates are going to weigh on this thing. If rates continue to go up, it's going to hit a certain level. Rates will. And it's going to be a real big heavy weight that the NASDAQ's going to try to lift up against. So I'd be looking for a turn if rates continue higher. If the government continues to lower rates, then this could continue to go higher. And the pressure relief valve will be the dollar if that were to occur. SMCI up a teeny bit, but again, it's going to consolidate sideways for a while. NVIDIA looking a little bit weak here. Now, we came up into this, call it a wedge deal. We've got lots of selling pressure. You can see the big red candlesticks are starting to be a lot more frequent and larger than the green candlesticks. But I have been amazed at how this thing has held up. I thought, that this was going to roll over a little bit quicker than what it has. BTC up a little bit. We're getting some wicks at the top, a little bit of selling pressure up there, a little bit of resistance is what we'll call it, but it's still looking pretty good. Ethereum down 1%. It's still holding on. There is a little bit of a bearish tinge here with the strong selling pressure move and then the kind of the rising wedge, we'll call it. Maybe we come back here and do another retest. Maybe. We'll see. And then MSTR down 5.4%. Kind of interesting here. Lots of selling pressure here, and the sellers are still here. So what makes this interesting is if this was a consolidation, you wouldn't see these big red candlesticks on the right-hand side here. Those would go away. And you'd see small red candlesticks kind of coming back like this. So it makes me think that the possibility is still here where this can break lower. But we'll see. Again, we'll see what occurs. If Bitcoin continues higher, then this pattern could be a little bit, there could be a dynamic where people are buying Bitcoin and people are selling MicroStrategy. Who knows? And then the VIX, volatility cropping up here at 8.1%. This can indicate a potential decline in the S&P 500. That is definitely possible if this continues on up. And this has broken the downtrend retest. And this could very well come up. And what does that mean? It means that we could see a pullback or more volatility in the S&P 500 and maybe even in other markets too. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. We got the midweek update being released where you could view it later tonight or tomorrow. That's where I share all my opinions. You can use the quote discount code. Discount is the code. You get a little bit of a savings on the monthly membership to try it out, and you get a larger savings if you want to do a yearly membership. So that's what I've got for today, guys. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.